Hi there and welcome back to another one-take tutorial. This is going to be the exec window. Really I'm not going to go into it that much, mostly because the main thing to think about the exec window is it is what you want it to be. So whatever I tell you can only be a base idea for you making it what you want it to be. And what I use it for might be completely different to what you would want to use it for. And it's one of the most powerful features of Magicq, purely for that reason, is that everybody is capable of making it be what they want it to be. But I'll just go through a few examples as a starting ground, and then you can just let your imagination run and turn it into whatever you want it to be. So the first thing to think about it is it's one place where you can have every part of Magicq in one place, such as macros, queues and queue stacks, palettes, FXs, anything, buttons from the screen layout, so on and so forth. So I'm going to start off with this example. So we've got here an exec. I've put it down here where normally is the color window, but it's down here. Page exec page 1. These are literally just palettes. I'm going to show you if it just mirrors exactly what the palette window does, and it goes both ways. Right? So that can be anything from as simple as just that, having all your palettes in one place in one window. So you can open up here, so you can have down this right hand side the queue stack, and here the main palettes you're using in the show all ready to use. How do we create a window? Well, I'm going to edit them exactly the same as if you're creating them. The only difference is it'll say no grid size on an empty one. So we just say set grid size. I'm going to make it a 4x4 now to add a bit of space in. To copy a palette in, we just press copy, select it, and reselect where we want it to be. That simple. Make it full size, and that's it. And if we press view, you see these palettes are now buttons. We can also change this type so they can be colored. So you see this purplish violet is position, and beams are these blues. Everything's colored labeled, and then we've also got these simple box types. And wherever there's nothing, it's just this grey background. Next thing to do, we can go a bit further on than that, and we're going to see that in page 2. So now we can start using these palettes, these exec windows and palettes a bit better. And like I say, we're going to see here some examples of absolutely anything. So let's take that group number 1, which was those Mac 2000s, and let's put them at full, and let's record that down here. Now what it's done here is written CS19, so all of these will have what they are labelled. Okay, now what that's saying is if we go to Stack Store, here we are at number 19, it's just the Mac 2000 dimmer. So we'll, set, we'll just call that Mac 2K dim. Okay, now that's just a toggle button, and anything created in the exec window by default will be a toggle. That's not very useful. It's a bit ugly having lights turn on and off like that. So if you see it's here, the last thing you selected has that blue around it. We can also use the keyboard arrow keys to navigate around. Okay, if we go here to view item, it looks like a standard queue stack, so we can add in a half-second fade in and out. If we come back, now you see we've got that fade there. Okay, there's a little bit, and there's another example of what we can use it for. Up here, you might recognize these as being position and color palettes. Well, they're not. If you see it says CS, that means they're from the queue stack. Now, what does that mean? It means you can apply anything you want to them, such as fade times. So these are all those position palettes now automatically have a fade time. Why is that useful? Well, for two reasons. One, if you see I don't have anything in the programmer, I have nothing selected. So it means that any stage, no matter what I'm doing, so let's stay group 2, I've now got the smoke machine selected. If I was doing this normally with my palettes now and I want to change position for the Mac 2000s, I'd have to go and select them and move them, but you also want to do it with time, so So starting off with the smoke machine selected, I want to move the Mac 2000s. I've got to press it, add the time, and then select the position. Well, here I've got the smoke machine selected, and it doesn't matter because this is a playback. These are still going to go. So it means that no matter what you're doing, it will carry out what you've got selected, especially if it's another group. Okay. Also, it means we can get all of the complexities of timings. So the screen is a wash across the stage. This is a 3-second fade, and again, this to white is a jumping wash across the stage. So as you see, you can make them be whatever you want them to be. Now the only other difference I've added to them here is by default all these buttons, as I say, are just toggle switches. To make these behave like palettes, as you can see, it deselects and releases the last one when you move across. Is if you go here into button type, right? By default, they're here as buttons. So I'll show you how they work. So I've got these two as buttons. You see, you have to toggle them. You have to go in and switch the last one off. Now these are LTP, meaning latest takes precedence, which means that whichever one you press is going to be the one that takes control, and it's going to take it away from them. But it still means you could end up with an entire page here of red buttons. So if we go to here to button and solo, and again, solo, that's what will make them release the last one used. Now these will detect what's inside what is the contents of the queue stack, meaning if you see these position exec buttons are not at all affecting the color only ones, and vice versa. The color ones aren't affecting the position, so they're intelligent enough to know what's inside, and they won't release. So that this position one won't release the color one, and vice versa. Same with beam looks and so on and so forth. They'll know both what the contents is, such as position, beam, or color, and it'll also know the groups. So it could be the Mac 2000s or the smoke machine. So speaking of smoke machines, I've got here a button from a smoke machine, which was nothing other than taking group number 2 at full, and I went into the exec window and pressed record. Now again, now we've changed this solo button and put an F. So let's go and find that, which up here is fader. Now what does that mean? It means that when we go to the view exec here, we now have a fader. So that means we're now freeing up these 10 valuable submasters that you really want at hand for high speed things that you're adjusting all night long, like your FXs and your groups and things that and your strobes and your blinders that you want at hand, the physical button to really be on the ball with. Things like a smoke machine that you just setting it to a value and leaving it, or let's say it's a work light a work light for a DJ, or the entrance to the toilets in the night, some silly little thing that's also controlled by DMX. You can just set its value and leave it. And that's a really good thing to have. Now the thing to note is we're actually, if you see here, we're using up 2 vertical spaces on the exec space. Now that's done by leaving. It starts with one box and leaving the one below it. Now if we move it down, it will still be a fader, but it'll be a lot smaller. And when you're on a smaller console like the MQ60, that button's tiny, so you do want it to be double height. And like I say, the best way, all you have to do to get that is just leave a space below it. So if we can put it up the top there, it'll now appear at the top too high. But again, if I move this to underneath it, it's going to become 1 high. So we just leave that space below it empty, and it's as simple as that. So as we just moved it, you can see we can add, like I said, we can add anything you like to the exec window. So in this case, I've got an M, which is a macro. So as simple as going in here, creating a macro. So let's take this go and add it down here. So now we're doing this show. We can trigger things from the exec window. So like I say, this is just the tip of the iceberg as to what the exec window can be and what you can do with it. Deliberately so, because there's so many things we can do, and I could spend hours here going through all the examples. But as long as you start thinking that anything you can think of. So any of these macros that are built in, so layouts and goes and select, move, copy, remove, undos, everything can be put into there. And your includes and your updates, and like a good thing to put in the exec window is actually, let's do it right now. If you own one of the older PC wings that only has position, beam and color physical buttons, it doesn't have a group button. We're going to have to make that, aren't we? So we could just go in here, start macro, group, and in macro. So we've just made right, so here we are. We've just made a button that selects the groups. So let's macro, macro, set that and just call it group. So now if copy, losing myself. Okay, now if you're an owner of the old PC wing that doesn't have that, to get back to your intensities, so let's say you've done that, you've changed the position, you've done whatever you were going to do with colors, and you've done your beams, blah blah blah, and the director says, no, a little dimmer. The way to do that is press the group button. But if you've got, like I say, one of the older PC wings that doesn't have that, if you're doing it with the exec window, you can have it there. Nice shortcuts. Also, another place to add it, while I'm here, I'm going to go through it, is the macros. These first macros here, there's a shortcut to get to them. So let's copy that to here, for example. In case you don't know, this info box down here shows those first 10 macros. So from here, from any window, there they are. So we just selected group and we get an intensity. So group 1 and reset, because I've added them all in. So yeah, like I say, that's all going back to how you can start making Magicq Q be whatever it is you want it to be. As I've said, you can start doing anything you like in terms of, here we can start adding a wallpaper. So here in bitmaps, there's the logo. So if we go to the exec, that's the Magicq HD logo at the background. So you can start adding. I like to, for example, with my major clients that I do repeat shows, I will add one of their photos or their logo on that screen. And again, it's another nice way to sell yourself as a company, that the client likes to come over and see you've put their logo on their screen. And it also means that once you've loaded up a show, you just know you've got the right show, or things like that. It just shows a little bit more professionalism as well, and so on and so forth, and identification as well, because you can also add, like I say, you can have different backgrounds. You see, so page 1 has nothing on it. So let's see what else is in here. I have no idea. There we are. Yep. So there's ChamSys logo, and there's Magicq HD logo. So you can have different backgrounds and different things. So you can make little bitmap backgrounds to show things. I, for example, did a tour with a band where my exec window background, I deliberately kept the exec window, everything on the left, and on the right was a bitmap image with all the run order of the night of the band. You can, because that means that I didn't have to carry around any paper. I had everything on screen ready to go. As I say, make the exec window whatever you want it to be. But as I say, just aim to have everything you think you'll need at hand for the night, and that's really show dependent. Anyway, hope this has helped. Thanks for watching.